Welcome to Storytimer at Large. Nancy Ann Theobald. Nancy Theobald was a freshman at the University of Cincinnati. She was known as a good student and had even studied as an exchange student in France. She lived in an apartment with her older brother and sister. On Thursday, November 16, 1977, Nancy vanished on her short walk home from her job at Arby's at 263 Calhoun Street in the Clifton area. She was last seen about 10:50 p.m. Nancy was not known to just take off. She kept a very regular routine. She was a very serious student. Her parents and siblings knew that she would not just run away and take absolutely nothing with her. Multiple searches were conducted. All of this was taking place during the media frenzy surrounding the arrest of serial rapist and murderer Larry Ralston. Her family was probably already imagining the worst. Nancy was 5 feet 1 inch tall and weighed approximately 105 pounds. She had medium-length brown hair. She was a petite young woman. She might have appeared quite a bit younger to a predator um, because she was small. In late December of 1977, her body was found fully clothed by a farmer, Clyde Rupp, in a creek bed a mile west of 6050 Beckett Road in Union Township near Westchester. A rope was tied around her neck. Dental records were used to confirm her identity. This abduction and murder could not be the work of serial killer Larry Ralston. Although he was actively abducting, raping, and killing young women and girls in the Cincinnati area from roughly 1975 to 1977, he was arrested on November 15, 1977, and eventually convicted of the murders of Elena Marie Bear, Diane McCroby, Linda Harmon, Nancy Grigsby, and Mary Ruth Hopkins. He was arrested in a Chicago suburb one day before Nancy disappeared. So he's not in town and he's in custody. He had fled to his sister's home as police were closing in on him, were investigating him. And so he was in Chicago trying to hide out, but the investigation was really heating up in Cincinnati surrounding his involvement with a lot of missing and murdered young women. Eugene William Gall seems like one of the most logical suspects here. He was a serial rapist. He was sent to jail in 1970 for several charges, including 4 charges of rape. He was supposed to serve a maximum of 26 years. He appealed his conviction and was paroled on April 12, 1977. He lived in Hillsborough then with his parents. Hillsborough is a short drive east of Dayton and Cincinnati. Eugene William Gall abducted, raped, and murdered Beth Ann Mote on October of 1977 and Lisa Jansen on April 5, 1978. Both girls were taken while on their way to school. Beth Ann Mote was taken from Cincinnati and killed with a knife. Lisa Jansen was taken from Cincinnati, taken to Kentucky, and was shot. Gall was caught after an armed robbery and shootout with police in Kentucky. It's hard to imagine that he just sat and did nothing from October 1977 until April of 1978 in the interim between those 2 known murders that he's convicted of. Gall was accused of other crimes as well. In the early morning hours of April 3, 1978, in Beaver Creek, Ohio, a community southeast of Dayton, a group of children were waiting for the school bus. A man ran at them with a gun and forced them into one of their homes. He tied up the mother and the children in separate rooms. He raped the 2 13-year-old girls. He stole cash from a handbag. When the news of Lisa Jansen's murder and Eugene William Gall's arrest came out, those children and that mother all identified him as their attacker. I hope that evidence can be tested and a perpetrator identified in Nancy's case. Her family and friends deserve closure. Another possible suspect, and more and more to me, the more I'm reading about this suspect, I'm thinking he could be responsible for Nancy Ann Theobald's murder. That suspect is Ralph Howell. Um, just a few years ago in 2022, Ralph Howell's DNA was used to connect him definitively to the disappearance, rape, and murder of Cheryl Thompson in 1978. Cheryl Thompson was strangled, raped and strangled, and left in Coleraine Township in Ohio, near Cincinnati. Good for Ohio because they went to a lot of effort to get the DNA to test. Ralph Howell had already passed away in 1985 in a car accident, and his body was exhumed in order to extract DNA to try to solve the cold case of Cheryl Thompson. And it did. So in Cheryl Thompson's case, information about Ralph Howell came to light when a victim of his in the early 1980s came forward and said that he had abducted her, sort of talked her into a ride. She didn't really want to get in the vehicle with him, but he kept talking to her and bothering her while she was trying to walk down the side of the road to go home. He eventually starts saying things like, "Oh, come on, I'm no animal. Get on in here. I'm just going to help you out, give you a ride. I'm just a nice person." Ralph Howell was in a black and white truck. He had a job delivering newspapers, and not one at a time, but large bales of newspapers that would be taken to newsstands and other places, other stores and places where you see a stack of newspapers and you buy one. Once this woman got into the truck, he immediately threw a rope around her neck and overpowered her, tried to rape her. She fought back, and she fought so effectively. She also talked her way out of this. She talked to him about, are you married? Would you want someone to do this to your wife? And eventually she was able to get out of the truck and get away from him. But she immediately went to police with description of the truck, description of the man, and Ralph Howell was definitely then looked at for the crime against her. But also, he became a suspect in earlier cases like Cheryl Thompson's. So he could be he could be a suspect here in this case of Nancy Ann Theobald, especially given the fact that a rope was found around her neck. So I would look definitely at Eugene William Gall Jr. and Ralph Howell in this particular case. Nancy Ann Theobald, she was really loved. She was really close with her brother and sister, with her parents. Her parents had retired to Florida, and they felt that with all three of their college-age children living together in the same apartment in Cincinnati and going to college, that they'd be able to, look out for each other, that they'd be okay. Nancy was pretty smart. She was pretty streetwise. She was a freshman at college, but she was also somebody who had lived overseas in Europe, and she was aware of things going on in her community and aware of the dangers of being a young woman walking down a road. street, and so um, she wasn't wholly. She wasn't being unsafe at all. She wasn't doing anything unsafe, and even if she was, she still should be safe because the fault is always with the murderer. But what I'm saying is, I don't think she would have been talked into getting into someone's vehicle. I think she would have had to have been grabbed. Um, if you have information about Nancy Ann Theobald's murder, please submit a tip at the website for the Ohio Attorney General's Unsolved Ohio cases. I'll post the link in the comments of this video. I think this case can be solved, and I hope that you'll watch for future updates in this case. But yeah, let's keep hope alive for this case and for all the other unsolved cases. Nancy's murder has never been solved. Rest in peace, Nancy. You deserved to live a long life like everyone does. If you appreciate true crime content, if you appreciate giving these cases more attention, hit that thumbs up button underneath the video. Let's think about it as a thumbs up for justice. The more attention these videos get, the more chances we have of the right tips coming in and these cases getting solved. You can also subscribe by touching that little bell icon on the right side underneath the video near where you make the comments. Or you can also share the video. The curved arrow is a way to touch that to share, and then you can copy the link to this, put it in a text message to a friend, or even post it on your own social media page if this is a case that particularly interests you. And thanks for listening. I think that the more people who pay attention to these things, the more chance we have of getting them solved. So thanks very much for your attention and for listening to the video. I think we can do some good work together, you and I.